Have you ever noticed that you live in an era where exhaustion has become a badge of honor, where being busy has become synonymous with being alive? What if I told you that your tiredness isn't your failure, but the result of an invisible prison that you built yourself? A prison made of ambition, productivity, and the empty promise that you can do anything? We live under the tyranny of yes, you can. A silent, seductive tyranny that doesn't need guards or chains because you've become your own executioner. South Korean philosopher Byung-Chul Han warns us, this is the age of self-exploitation, where the exploiter and the exploited inhabit the same body. You wake up thinking about goals, fall asleep planning achievements, and in the middle of it all, you forgot to simply exist. In the past, oppression came from outside. There was a cruel boss, a visible system, a clear enemy. You could point your finger and say, there's my oppressor. But today the oppressor looks at you in the mirror every morning. He whispers that you need to do more, be more, achieve more. And the worst part, you believe him. Han calls this the achievement society, a society that traded you must for you can. Sounds liberating, doesn't it? After all, nobody's forcing you to do anything. You're free. Free to work yourself to exhaustion. Free to never be satisfied. Free to turn every moment of rest into guilt. What perverse freedom is this? The problem isn't that you're weak or lazy. The problem is that you've been programmed to believe that your humanity is measured by your productivity, that your value is directly linked to what you deliver, achieve, accomplish. And when you fail to deliver, when your body finally screams, enough, you don't blame the system, you blame yourself. Think about it. How many times have you felt guilty for resting? How many times have you looked at a free afternoon and instead of enjoying it, felt that creeping anxiety saying you should be doing something useful? This guilt wasn't born in you. It was carefully planted by a culture that turned leisure into luxury and pause into sin. Han explains that in the disciplinary society of the past, there were visible walls, psychiatric hospitals, prisons, factories with time clocks. Today the walls have disappeared, but the prison has become portable. You carry it in your pocket, in the form of a smartphone that never lets you truly rest. The office no longer has walls because now it's everywhere. You're always available, always connected, always on. And here's the cruelest part. You think this is freedom. After all, you can work from anywhere. You can answer emails at 11 p.m. You can turn your Sunday into a productive day. But this freedom is just a more sophisticated version of slavery. A slavery without chains, but equally devastating. Maybe you've already felt that strange sensation of always being tired, even when you haven't done anything much. It's because modern tiredness doesn't just come from the body, it comes from a mind that never stops, from a brain that's always processing, always planning, always optimizing itself. You're not tired because you work too much. You're tired because you never stopped working, not even when you thought you were resting. If you're recognizing yourself in these words, know that you're not alone. Millions of people around the world are living this same silent exhaustion, believing the problem is with them, when in reality, the problem is with the system that taught us to exploit ourselves with a smile on our faces. But here's a question that could change everything. What if the secret isn't to do more, but to do less? What if the real revolution isn't achieving more goals, but having the courage to stop? Let's go deeper. The tyranny of you can works, because it transforms us into unfinished projects. You're never good enough. There's always one more book to read, one more course to take, one more skill to develop. Self-help has become a billion-dollar industry, selling the promise that you're always one step away from becoming your best version. But that version never arrives, because it doesn't exist. It's a carrot dangling in front of a horse that never stops running. Han identifies something devastating. In the achievement society, depression and burnout aren't exceptions. They're natural consequences. When you simultaneously become the worker and the boss, there's no more clock-out time. There's no more true rest. Every moment of pause becomes an investment to be more productive later. Even your vacations turn into personal development projects. Think about your leisure moments. Can you simply be? Or are you always documenting, optimizing, turning even rest into content for social media? Even your private life has become a public performance. You don't live experiences. You collect Instagram-worthy moments. You don't rest. You do self-care as if it were another task on your productivity list. And here's the cruel paradox. The more you try to optimize yourself, the more you lose yourself. The more you seek the best version of yourself, the further you get from who you really are. Because this relentless pursuit isn't about self-knowledge, it's about self-polishing, turning yourself into an increasingly marketable product in the marketplace of life. The question Han asks us is disturbing. Do you still know who you are when you're not producing? Do you still have value when you're not achieving something? Do you still exist when you're not performing? If this idea has already resonated with you, imagine what comes next. Subscribe to this channel to continue this journey of deconstruction and liberation. True transformation begins when you realize you don't need to become someone else, that you don't need to achieve anything more to have value, that your existence doesn't need justification. Han invites us to rediscover what he calls contemplation, the ability to simply be present without objectives, without goals, without purposes. Imagine this. A moment when you're not trying to improve anything, achieve anything, prove anything. A moment of pure existence. For many of us, this sounds like a waste of time. And there lies the problem. We've forgotten that existing isn't wasting time. It's the very essence of life. The achievement society stole something precious from us, creative boredom. Those moments when we do nothing and, precisely because of that, something new can emerge. Today, we fill every empty second with stimuli, a notification here, a video there, always something to consume, but never space to create, to reflect, to simply be, and suggests that true freedom isn't in being able to do everything, but in being able to do nothing without guilt, in having the courage to stop, to refuse, to say no, in a world that only values yes. This isn't laziness. It's resistance. It's reclaiming your humanity in a world that wants to turn you into a machine. But there's an even deeper secret that few know. The tiredness you feel may be the beginning of your liberation. Because when you finally collapse, when you can no longer maintain the facade of perpetual productivity, something breaks. And in that breaking, there's an opportunity. The chance to rebuild your life on different foundations, not foundations of achievements and goals, but of presence and meaning. Not a life measured by how much you produce, but by how much you truly live, by how many moments you were genuinely present, instead of always running to the next objective. Here's the revelation that can change everything. You're not burned out because you're not strong enough. You're burned out because you're human. And being human means having limits. It means needing rest, genuine connection, moments without purpose. The achievement society wants you to be ashamed of these limits, but they are your salvation. When you accept your limits, when you stop trying to be a perfect productivity machine, something miraculous happens. You become human again. And being human, with all its imperfections and vulnerabilities, is infinitely more valuable than any optimized version you could force yourself to be. Freedom isn't in being able to do everything. Freedom is in choosing not to do, in having the courage to exist without justifying yourself, to rest without guilt, to be unproductive without shame. This is the true revolution in times of the tyranny of you can. So take a deep breath. You don't need to conquer the world today. You don't need to be extraordinary every moment. You don't need to prove your worth through exhaustion. Your existence is already enough. Your simple being in the world already has value. And recognizing this isn't giving up, it's waking up. The tyranny of yes, you can only works as long as you believe in it. The moment you choose contemplation over productivity, being overdoing, you free yourself. And in that freedom, paradoxically, you may discover who you really are when you're not trying to be anyone else. If these words touched something in you, like this video, leave a comment sharing your experience with modern exhaustion and subscribe to the channel. Share this message with someone who needs to hear that it's okay to stop, to be human, to simply exist. Together, we can break this silent tyranny and reclaim our humanity.